Hey guys, this is Kyle Gosman with DKMobileAuto.com. We're also on Facebook, Twitter. We'll work our way around to Instagram. I just want to give you guys a quick update today. We did a 2003 Dodge Neon. Started on it Friday, the 22nd of January, and finished it up today, January 23rd, Saturday. The original diagnostic on this car was that it had a bad starter. We turn the key, get a little buzz from the fuel pump coming on, but nothing else. Wouldn't crank. It was a no crank, no start. So we diagnosed it at first as the starter. Completely bad. If anybody knows anything about cars, if your starter goes completely dead, you're going to have a no crank, no start. Um, so we went ahead and replaced the starter on the car, me and David, and got the same thing, no crank, no start. We both got a little bit worried. I've seen a couple other times with a no crank, no start after you replace the starter that somebody has neglected the car so bad that the crankshaft has snapped. What happens when your crankshaft snaps is basically you've neglected it, you haven't done an oil change, haven't changed your spark plugs, all that stuff, and it literally destroys your motor. If you guys are looking up little stuff here and there on YouTube on how to take care of your car, my first suggestion would always be check your oil on a regular basis. People don't understand how much your oil lubricating your engine does for it. Almost every single time I've ever done an oil change, I've added a quart of Lucas oil to it just because your engine needs it. It's your baby, your car. If you're gonna screw up anything in your life, the last thing you want it to be is your mode of transportation. It's such an expensive fix if you neglect it to that point. Spend the $40-50, get your oil changed. Okay? If you're a car person yourself and you know how to change your oil and your oil filter, change it on a regular basis. I can't stress that to you guys enough. And not just that, check your spark plugs. When your spark plugs go bad, you're going to misfire. Take those simple steps to make sure you maintain your car. Back to the original topic, the 2003 Dodge Neon. Okay, no crank, no start. Starter's been changed. We went ahead and did an oil change and a air filter change on it. The 2003 has the cone filter, not the flat filter for your air filter. Make sure you specify that if you're buying your own parts, okay? So it was about 9:30 last night when we got done with the starter. Snow on the ground, 26 degrees outside, wind blowing. We were done. So we got cracking back at it this morning. We were pretty baffled last night after we changed the starter and we got the same thing, a no crank, no start. So we went back, went over everything. We checked our battery connections, the PCM, the neutral safety switch, checked all that stuff. It all seemed to be good. So, seeing the stuff we've seen, we immediately jumped to the worst thing. We already had checked the crankshaft, so we were like, crap, the whole steering column's gone out. I've seen it before. It's not fun. I actually had a Cavalier years ago. The entire steering column went out, wouldn't start, got a no crank, no start on it. Took it to a mechanic. This was back before I started working on cars, and he basically did the same thing I did. Pulled the steering column, put a new steering column on. So when we go to get the new steering column, it's off a, I want to say 04 Dodge Neon. Every single year of the Neons almost has a different steering column, guys. The brackets wouldn't mount up. It was annoying. So what we ended up doing is pulling all of the new connections off of the steering column and went ahead and put those on the old steering column. Remounted it, same thing, no crank, no start. Pulled the steering column back apart. I'm sitting there messing with the ignition just because at this point I'm baffled. I don't know what's going on. We've checked all the sensors, everything is good. So I'm messing with the ignition, and I notice it's not going all the way into the third position. You sometimes can't notice that when the ignition is still on the steering column, sitting up on the dash. It's not something you're looking for. But I had it, the whole steering column sitting in my lap, and I'm messing with the ignition, and it goes first position, second position, with it, which is your on position, and then your third, which is your start. Okay? When you put it into that third position, that's what cranks everything. That's what sends a signal to your starter, starts the chain reaction of the car starting. It was going to the third position, but not turning all the way. It was acting like it was spring loaded, popping back at me. So I started listening for the ignition switch. There was no click. I could hear the tumblers turning, but the ignition switch wasn't clicking. So we went ahead and got a new ignition switch and the piece that goes behind the tumbler. I don't, off the top of my head, know exactly what it is. It's a little intermittent piece. It's plastic and metal put together. The 2003 Neon comes with a safety system on it, and it makes it a pain in the butt. Okay? If you're going to be replacing this, make sure you're looking at diagrams. Don't just go buy the part and then try and put it together real quick. Get the pictures from the auto parts store. Most auto parts stores can print off a how-to guide when you buy the part. Go ahead and get that. It'll give you a diagram of how the whole ignition system is supposed to go together. Use it. Don't try and be a superhero thinking you know everything about cars, because even mechanics don't know everything about cars. They don't. Every year they add some stupid new feature to a car, and we actually had to call one of our buddies, and he was like, "Oh, you just slide it in this way," and we're looking at it like, "Oh, well, that makes a lot more sense now that you say that." So we put that all back together, got the steering column put back up in there. We didn't actually put it all back together because I was not going to be annoyed and put the entire thing back together again for it not to start. But we got it up there, got all the connections put back together, the wiring brackets and mounts and all that stuff. And sure enough, car fired right up, guys. I was looking it up online, so I know if you guys are going to see this video, you're probably also going to be wondering if you're having the same issue with your Dodge Neon, a no crank, no start. What happens is that plastic piece behind the tumbler breaks. It's plastic in a car on one of your main operating systems. So, put it all back together, fired right up, guys. Amazing $65 fix. Ignition switch and the piece right behind the tumbler, $65 together. Before you start jumping to conclusions and pulling apart the whole freaking neutral safety system and all that stuff, your PCM, check your ignition system first. Chances are, with that plastic piece, that's probably what's going to be your issue. So, if you guys have any questions or anything, like and comment. I do want to introduce somebody that I have here tonight. I know if you guys have seen our first video, then you will have already heard about him, but let's go ahead and bring Thomas in here. This is Thomas Harvey, guys. This is the editor for all of the stuff on the web page. He'll be editing anything that we have on our Twitter page, Facebook page. Once we get dkmobile.com up and running, he'll be editing all that stuff. If you want to go ahead and say a few words, Thomas, you can. Knock it out.
I will say that, so Kyle worked on my car. I have a 1999 Plymouth Neon. I had a fuel pump problem. It just stopped working one night. And Kyle, the next day, got out there and fixed it up and got it running that same week. Our schedules didn't match up, so it was kind of hard to, get it together. But, he fixed that, on time. That's why I'm taking the initiative to be the editor of this, because I feel like, he has the drive and the determination to get things right, and he does it in a professional manner. So, that's why I'm doing it. So, yeah.
Thanks, Thomas. That's going to be it for tonight, guys. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and hit us up in the comment section. We'll get back at you guys. We appreciate all the feedback and everything you guys are going to give us. Until next time, have a good one.